welcome back. Living with untreated bipolar disorder can lead to problems in your career, relationships, and health. For my guest, Fezi Samtili, recognizing that the behavior was becoming problematic 6 years ago was the first step to getting better. Our experts are here to answer any questions you may have about bipolar. 086 2233 That's our number, or you can send me a tweet, Noeleen 3Talk. Fezi, welcome to 3Talk. Where did this journey start?
I started when in my teens when I got raped. So for me, it started with a lot of. I was 15 years old when I got raped. So I think when I noticed that my moods were a bit out of touch as after I got raped, and then I didn't get any help. It was left untreated for many years until my mother watched a show on TV. It was probably you. And she says that she saw the symptoms of bipolar, and she said, you need to get help, there's something wrong with you. So then after that I seeked help from a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed me with...
When you say that, that your moods after that tragic rape, what do you mean? What was happening? Because obviously you couldn't deal with this, you couldn't talk to anybody about the violation against you.
So I used to get very depressed. Like I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Like I'd just stay in bed the whole day. And if I wasn't depressed, then I'd have moments where I would just be hyperactive. I'd be all over the place. Even my speech would be, I'd speak faster. I'd want to go out. I'd want to drink. So that was another thing. It came, and it also got mixed with a lot of alcohol abuse. Because for me that was my coping strategy, which didn't work because it made things worse. Because I would go on a manic phase where I wouldn't sleep for a week, and after that, after not sleeping for so long, then I'd start hearing voices. It was terrible, and seeing shadows at the corners of my eyes and stuff. So it was very bad.
I don't know if what I read was true or not, because I read that you left home at some stage, or it's still in your very early teens, and that's where the drugs started, and the alcohol abuse. Tell me about that phase.
Well,
if you're comfortable talking.
Of course, I am. What happened is that after the rape, and I couldn't deal with everything, and the way it was dealt with as well with my family wasn't properly. I wouldn't say it wasn't properly dealt with. So for me, as a way of retaliating, I left home, and that's when I went through a phase where I was just doing a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol. So, but that lasted for like 2 years, a year or two, and after that, my parents came and they fetched me and they took me to rehab, and I got help for that. But at the same time, I never got help for the initial thing that got me into doing drugs, which was the rape. So I'd never quite dealt with that. So that always was looming in the back of my mind. So, and also, I found out when I was 16 that I was infected with HIV. So it just became a lot of things that I had to deal with, and I didn't have any coping mechanism. So it was just this hectic turbulence of moods, and mostly depression, because I just remember wanting to die so often, but luckily I've never attempted suicide, but I just remember thinking, I just want this to end, I just want to die.
The importance in managing, all of you, the importance of managing bipolar, family, friends, psychologists, psychiatrists, that people like SADC, that's critical in the management of this disease, isn't it?
Absolutely, Noeleen. I think the support system and the network that sufferers have is something that can keep them above water and can keep them afloat. And for me, that's one of the most critical things in terms of the management of the condition. You can imagine people that have been in the show and people that are called in. But I think SADC does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And the doctors and the psychologists and the family members. I'd also like to say to some of the family members as well that there are also support groups for them, because it can be a strain for some of the family members. And I'm thinking now about the lady that called in first, and I heard some of the pain that she spoke about. And just to let some of the viewers know that there are support networks that are out there as well for the family.
And you just Google those and you'll be able to them know?
We have over 200 support groups in South Africa. So she could just call us, and I'm sure someone is there to help her and direct her to get some sort of help for herself. I think it's very important after being diagnosed, after being treated, to actually attend a support group for the people living with bipolar. It's so important because, it's a sort of place where you find that you belong somewhere, or you have, common ground with everyone, and you understand each other. So you feel less isolated as well.
Yeah.
So we do recommend join a support group. It's only once a month. It helps with your process of healing as well.
Jan, physicists are talking about, the not being able to cope, having gone through the traumatic experiences in their life, and then using drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism. The two, bipolar and then substance abuse, a disastrous combination.
Yes, and they often come in the chicken and the egg situation, where you don't know which one came first. Sometimes people resort to alcohol as a way of coping with the pain of bipolar, particularly when they're depressed. Or sometimes they even want to enhance the high that they feel when they're manic. And that in itself makes the illness worse. So people try to self-medicate. Sometimes people use alcohol or drugs a lot, which then unmasks the disease. So it's a chicken and egg situation. I just want to quickly go to the model that we use. We call it the biopsychosocial. In other words, medication, the psychology, and the social part. We always use the three-pronged approach, because if you're looking at bipolar, all these aspects, the biological aspect in terms of medication, the psychological aspect in terms of what he spoke about, and the social aspect in terms of the family, those always go together. None of them can stand by itself unsupported.
You finally said you went for your drug addiction and alcohol, you went into rehab, you finally came to grips with the fact that you had bipolar. Your medication, did you have to kind of shop around, if I can use that word loosely, until you found something that really worked for you?
And for me, going through the medication, it was terrible, because somehow my dose was never right. It was because I went privately to a private psychiatrist, and he gave me, he prescribed pills for me, and I took them, and I was fine. And then I changed into a state hospital, and I was seen by a psychiatrist there, and he decided to put me on something else. And while I was taking the medication, I could feel that something was not right. I think it was that the dose was high or something, but I would literally just be numb. And I didn't like that, and I'd sleep a lot. And it got worse when I started hearing voices again on the medication. And it wasn't just voices, it got to a stage where I wouldn't be aware whether I'm awake or I'm dreaming, or, So in March 2011, I booked myself into hospital. I took myself there, and I said, something is wrong, you need to check me out in a mental ward. And I spent 10 days there, and they did evaluations, and they found out that I was actually on the wrong medication. And then they put me on another regimen, and when they put me on that one, they said that they're going to start decreasing the dose, because they could see that the dose I was taking that was very high. So when I came out of hospital, I started taking medication, but like a lower dosage. And I was speaking to my psychiatrist and telling him that I don't like the way this medication makes me feel. Aren't there any other ways that I can try and explore in getting better or in dealing with this? So I slowly, with, of course, my psychiatrist's help, I got off my medications, but I changed my lifestyle with that. So I'm not saying that people should stop taking their medication. With every case is different. I feel now I'm at a stage where I'm functional, because I do a lot of exercise. I watch what I eat. I surround myself with positive energy. I do what I like. And also with my job as well, I didn't like my job. So for me, that always used to be a stressful thing. So I quit my job and self-employed. So it's a lot of things that you adjust in your life, and I feel that I've had to adjust.
Thank you so much for joining us. Living with bipolar disorder can be challenging, but with treatment, healthy coping skills, and a solid support system, you can live life fully. managing your symptoms. Our experts discuss bipolar